Now, with many people concerned about whether they're saving enough for retirement and with ongoing economic uncertainty prompting questions about pensions, investments and long-term financial planning, Shannon Chamber is hosting a special investment planning event in Shannon next week in partnership with Cantor Fitzgerald. The event will focus on retirement planning, wealth management and current investment opportunities. And joining us on this is the Director of Wealth Management at Cantor Fitzgerald, Laura Reidy. Laura, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ali, and good morning to your listeners.
Retirement planning is something many people know they should be thinking about, but often put on the long finger, even with the emergence and obviously the instigation of the auto-enrolment pension scheme. How concerned are you about retirement readiness in Ireland today?
Well, I think it's fair to say that there is a growing concern amongst the general population that people simply feel that they're not on track for retirement that they expect. And that's not due to a lack of intent, but often a lack of clarity. Retirement still feels very abstract for people, and this has really come out in a recent nationwide study that was brought into focus, commissioned by the Retirement Planning Standards Board and Retirement Council of Ireland, where 8 out of 10 people felt that they were financially unprepared for retirement. But they're managing their day-to-day finances well. 45% don't understand retirement planning and don't understand their own pension, and more than half worried that their savings won't last in retirement. So I think the key takeaway, Alan, is simple, is that people are saving, but they don't always understand what those savings will actually deliver in retirement. So there is a gap in understanding and confidence. And as you quite rightly said, auto-enrolment did go live, My Future Fund live from the start of the year, which brought about 770,000 workers into private pension provision that were not already there. So it is a huge step, but it is important for people to understand what they have signed up for and how that all marries into their overall long-term benefits.
Okay, so in terms of, most common mistakes people make when it comes to retirement planning, I guess, Laura, the biggest mistake is probably just simply not starting early enough. So how should someone in their 20s or early 30s approach pension planning?
Yeah, look, we're often careful not to even say mistakes. Look, it's often that, I suppose, they are common gaps or behaviours. Starting later, I've never had a client say that they regretted starting when they do. So they often always regret not starting. So look, the set out, I suppose, just generally speaking, is that, early career, it's all about building, juggle and protecting. So start early, even small contributions make a difference. So make it affordable, make it easy, automate. Maximise your employer contribution if it's there. It's all part of your package, so make sure that that is always part of it. And review contribution levels as your pay increases. Mid-career should be about focus and preparation. So it's increased contributions as your income grows. Set, I suppose, those clear retirement targets. And that's generally under and recommended with advice and support. Pre-retirement is always about the transition and simplification. So the shift should be to focus on protecting wealth and a view to generating or at least understanding what generating income would look like. And then understanding what your pension will deliver in real terms. The focus, I suppose, should be from building a pension pot to what would be creating a sustainable retirement income. And the planning questions we always get when we're sitting down with talking to clients is, when do I realistically want to retire? And what does my ideal retirement look like? And how much income will I need each month? And in simple terms, what we do in Cantor is we take a holistic approach to financial planning as part of, I suppose, cash flow modelling. And cash flow modelling is a forward-looking financial plan. It maps income, spending, savings and investments over your lifetime. So it shows how your money will likely to grow over time, factors in the life events like retirement, school fees, property, career changes, all of that, and helps us assess whether you're on track to meet your retirement income goals. So that's all very, very important in aligning to your time horizon and what your actual liquidity requirement needs are.
Okay, time against us, unfortunately, but I do want to ask you before I finish, Laura, how people will be wondering, they want to plan for the retirement and put a bit of money away, but we all know people are more to the pin of their collars than for a number of years at the moment with inflation and cost of living pressures, pressure on household finances and so on. So how can people balance immediate financial demands with long-term retirement planning?
Look, I think that is where what I mentioned there, cash flow modelling is really, really important, is having a plan in place. Look, in the current environment, markets up and downs are completely normal. It's reacting emotionally or making sudden changes that can often do more harm than good. So having a diversified portfolio is really important. And while holding cash can feel safe, over time, as you quite rightly said, inflation reduces its real value. So the reality is the biggest risk isn't short-term market volatility, it's being potentially out of market. So the focus should be on staying invested, having a clear plan and making sure your strategy is aligned with long-term goals. We're really pleased to be working with the Shannon Chamber on Thursday, and it's about giving, I suppose, people practical, actionable guidance so they can feel more confident about their financial futures.
Okay, Laura, thank you very much. And that event is happening this Thursday, the 11th of June. Shannon Chamber hosting that meeting at Tracy's Oakwood Hotel in Shannon in conjunction with Cantor Fitzgerald and the Director of Wealth Management at Cantor Fitzgerald, Laura Reidy. Thank you very much for joining us on Morning Focus.